Welcome to You Belong in the C-Suite podcast. You are ambitious in life and in your career, but something is missing. You want to bring more of your passion to what you do. Because let's be honest, you pour a ton into your work, and it needs to mean more. I'm your host, Laura Eigel. I'm a mom, wife, PhD, coach, advocate, introvert, and indoor rowing fanatic. I'm passionate about living a life that's in line with my values. We'll give you the actionable tips and tools you need to lead with your values, make a difference, and have career success. The world needs more diversity and authenticity in the top jobs at organizations. Your leadership belongs there. You belong in the C-Suite. What gets you up in the morning? What drives your decisions? What do you stand for? No idea, not even sure where to start? I use my values to guide my life and career. It's the basis of how I've built boundaries for myself and stuck to them. Are you ready to dig into what matters to you? Go to thecatchgroup.com to download your free values worksheet. That's thecatchgroup.com to download your free values worksheet to get to your core values and take action on what matters most. Welcome to this week's episode of the You Belong in the C-Suite podcast. In the last two episodes, we've been talking about Gen Z, conflicts that are coming up with this new generation in the workforce, and what we can do about it as leaders. And one of the themes in these discussions has been the importance of being authentic, an authentic leader. Gen Z wants that, but what does it mean? The word authentic almost feels overused and a little bit of a cliche. So this week we're going to dig more into this topic, and I'm bringing back an episode from season 1, a listener favorite, the new type A, authentic. I think this is an important episode to revisit because as high-achieving leaders, we often default to our type A driving for results patterns. We focus too much on the results and not on how we get the results. By leading with your values and being authentic, you can drive authentic connection with your team to get even bigger results. Let's get started. Welcome to the You Belong in the C-Suite podcast. I'm excited to dive into today's topic, authenticity. Often leaders that only drive for results in competitive cultures can be described as type A. I bet you can think of the typical type A leader right now. Highly competitive, big sense of urgency, wants to get it done and achieve right now. I'm going to tell you that I don't think type A works anymore. Not the traditional type A. The new type A stands for authenticity. And it will give you so much more in the long run to live and lead with your authentic style. Let's get started. I was recently coaching a leader, and we were talking about getting business results. Specifically, we discussed the importance of how you get results. In some cultures, there is a hero mentality. Like, look at all this stuff that we did to get the results that we got. Let's celebrate how hard everyone worked. So-and-so did this all by themselves and worked a ton of hours to deliver this to the client. In those cases, heroics are rewarded. Or sometimes you might see it as leaders consistently delivering amazing results. But when you look more closely at that person's team, they are overworked, exhausted, and don't have any boundaries because they're so focused on driving those results. It isn't just the outcome that should be rewarded, but the how of the outcome. Or even just the how, the journey. In some cultures, curiosity and failing fast is rewarded because of how the work was done, as opposed to getting it right on the first try while leaving everyone burned out and checked out. Today, I'm going to be talking about leadership styles that drive results and engagement, the difference of what's getting rewarded now, and the change that I'm seeing in leadership, cultures, and what employees really want. Gone are the days of growing the business at all costs. Employees have higher expectations of their leaders. But before we talk about the new type A, let's take a step back and talk about where the idea of the type A leader even comes from. So what is a traditional type A leader? Type A is usually described as personality traits associated with a kind of leader. Some of these traits may include being very driven, competitive, having a high sense of urgency to get things done, to drive results, or may even be perceived as hostile or aggressive. They may talk fast. They are highly ambitious. You know these leaders. You've worked for these leaders, or you may resonate with some of these characteristics yourself. I have definitely called myself type A before. You want to keep things moving. You don't want to waste time. Type A leaders may also work too much, like a lot. They may seem intense to others or stressed out all the time. They might need to be told to lighten up. Commonly, though, many type A leaders excel because of their ability to win, drive an agenda, and get business results. But at what cost? Often at the expense of their teams, overworking, which can lead to burnout and decreased employee engagement. Less often do you hear leaders described as type B. This is the opposite side of the continuum of type A, more relaxed, patient, and easygoing. The idea of type A and type B came from two cardiologists, Dr. Friedman and Dr. Rosenman. They were running their practice and realized that the chairs in their waiting room needed to be reupholstered. It seemed strange that the chairs were already worn down, specifically on the armrests and at the edge of their seats. So after many years of practice and seeing similarities and patterns in their patients, they conducted and published research labeling this behavior type A personality. They showed that those with those personality traits that I described earlier, those characteristics of type A, had higher risks of heart disease and blood pressure. In a longitudinal study, they found that type A's are more stressed out and twice as likely to develop heart disease. All too often in big and small companies, only results get rewarded, the outcome. Less often, the journey to the outcome gets rewarded. Type A cultures and leaders are getting rewarded. And many of these companies, they do have, their values, their mission, and their purpose, but really look at what they are rewarding. What behaviors are getting rewarded in these kinds of cultures? Who is getting promoted? Are they truly living the company values? All too often, these companies are not. As I coach high achieving women, many of them question, do I want that next big job? Because it seems to come at a cost, a huge sacrifice. Sacrifices of time, of energy, of leading in a way that isn't congruent with their style or values. Organizations are telling them that they need to be more type A. They may not explicitly use that language, but that's the feedback or choice that these leaders feel like they need to make. What that leaves these organizations with are a lot of leaders that think and act in the same way, with a bottom line only for shareholder value, with less importance on the how you get the work done. These cultures will stay this way until they start promoting and rewarding a different style of leadership. Some leaders that I coach struggle with these questions. So, can I succeed in these companies at the senior level or C-suite level and lead differently? Do I have to compromise how I lead to achieve results? Should I stay at this company to prove that I can make it by being my authentic self? Can I change the culture by modeling it in an authentic way? Those are big questions and big decisions to make to be your authentic self. And when I say authentic, what do I really mean? Very simply, I mean leading with your values. First, you need to know what your values are. My values are family, growth, development, achievement, advocacy, and balance. Sometimes those values come in conflict with each other, though. Sometimes my value of achievement, some of those type A tendencies, push through. And I feel a conflict between the outcome that I want and how I get there. But I really know what I need to do. I need to slow down, to learn with a growth mindset, to coach others to get there, even if it takes longer. So if you lead with your values, your authentic self, can you get results, or is it one or the other? I'd say that when you lead with your authentic style, you will reap many more results than just driving results as a typical type A person would. And why is that? You're showing others what's important to you. You're going to model those behaviors. You will build a culture around those behaviors. The culture, morale, and engagement that you will create will be a winning one. no matter what. You will have high standards and create great work. But focusing on people first, living authentically, leading authentically, you will motivate your team to unparalleled success. Think through your career about a leader who's truly motivated you, whose team you've really wanted to be on. How do they lead? It wasn't always about the outcome. It was about the how, the journey to get there, the culture that they created. You can do that too. And now the current workforce of millennials and Gen Z are calling BS on winning at all costs. They want and will demand great leaders. They want feedback, to work on innovative projects to learn and to develop skills. They want to work for leaders who are real, who are walking the talk, who have boundaries, who model it. So can a type A leader still show up authentically? I think you can, but you have to make the tough choices. There's going to be conflict between high quality or delivering results versus doing it the right way. If you're being authentic, really rooting yourselves and your values in conflict, which value wins? Which value wins consistently? I'm calling for you to have the courage to lead authentically at work, to find and build cultures to lead authentically, to not wait for your company culture to change, but to lead that way anyway. Prioritize the how before the outcome. Prioritize the journey to get to the outcome, not just the results. Do that by leading with your values, your authentic style and self. Let's ditch the typical type A and lead with the new type A, authenticity. The workplace needs more diversity and authenticity. Remember, your leadership belongs there. You belong in the C-suite. I want to thank you so much for listening to the You Belong in the C-Suite podcast. If you are enjoying this content, please remember to rate and review on Apple Podcasts. By leaving a review, you are helping others find this content. We will be featuring 5-star reviews on air in upcoming episodes. Editing and support for the podcast is done by S&E Podcast Management. To get more tips and tools to help you live a life guided by your values, go to thecatchgroup.com. Keep your boundaries and take care.